Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is Boomba right here on your Boom Radio NG. My name is Dolupo, and I bid you one welcome to the bar today. Today promises to be a very interesting one, as we're going to be talking about quite a number of things. President Tinubu is back so he didn't go to France. It's safe to say he didn't go to France. He's back in Nigeria anyway. The vice president, I think, is in Jalingo. Apparently, there's a new airport that is being refurbished somewhere here. The federal government looks like they're about to sell some estate, especially in Abuja, for people that are looking to buy estate in Abuja. It might just be a good time, and it probably might be at a not so expensive one at that. No, I didn't say it was cheap, but it might just be expensive. As well as there's fuel. Looks like fuel is dropping again. There's another drop in price from Dangote's gantry price. So maybe we'll see another, maybe not so much, but maybe a little bit of change here and there, and a few other gist. There's a lot of gist from the States. So I think that that is stuff that we're gonna get to a lot today. And today is Europa League finals. You know, it's a lot of conversation. Or would I say a lot of things that brought a lot of people? It's conversation that a lot of people are going to talk about the two teams, what they're doing, and how they got to where they are. That and a lot of other things we're going to be talking about today at the bar. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show. My name again is Ola Dolupo, and with me in the studio is Sola Rogers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Boom Bar.
Okay, so after all the controversy of Rome and a lot of things that happened in Rome, whether the president was invited, he was not invited, the people that went, whether they were invited or not, bottom line is President Tinubu got back to Nigeria yesterday. He's back in Nigeria after being in Rome. I think on Monday there were pictures of him having meetings with Nigerian bishops that also were in Rome. So it looks like the man had maybe a couple of meetings with a few people before leaving. But last we checked, it's official. He's in Rome. Or he's in Nigeria, sorry. My bad. He's back in Nigeria.
Well, I don't know. The thing happened at the weekend, and this is Wednesday. So
you got back yesterday?
Yeah. You're sure he didn't fly and have a stopover in France?
There was a meeting in Rome on Monday.
What's the distance by private jet to France?
I don't know. Leave me alone.
I'm not holding you. That what? That he probably had a stopover in France.
I don't know what you're talking about. Leave me alone.
El Presidente likes stopovers in France. Simple.
Anyway.
It's just that once that happens, in the last two trips, apart from the one that I stayed for a couple of weeks, when it happens, it's bad news for the opposition.
Really?
There's no way you're going to tell me you don't have bad news on this your list.
I don't have any bad news, so I don't have any bad news.
We'll get
What's the definition of bad news?
Something that the opposition doesn't like is bad news.
So you're part of the opposition, so because why you categorizing it as bad news?
Yeah, because they always say it. I don't need to be a part of them to quote them.
Anyway,
they remind you of how democracy is in trouble and a whole lot of stuff.
Anyway, Vice President Shettima is in Taraba State. There's Taraba Investment Summit that is going on. Before that, he inaugurated a just rehabilitated Dambaba Suntai Airport. I did not know there was an airport in Taraba State. The truth is, you really don't get to hear a lot of news from Taraba
You do not
State.
know a lot of airports, actually.
I'm even saying that you don't even get to hear a lot of news from Taraba State.
I'm going to say something, and of course, this is based on my own observation. And at this point, yeah, it's my observation, my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. And you don't have to agree. In fact, I want you to disagree. Subsidy removal has freed up more funds for more politicians. When by now I mean governors, and by extension councillors and local government chairmen, especially
and National Assembly members,
to
legislators,
to do more.
So there's money to do
more
so
things.
many things.
The other day, I think it was at the weekend, the Senate president had a long list of projects to commission. Hospitals, schools,
But listen,
roads,
wasn't that
empowerment
now
programs.
This is now my own argument, which I know that might be
I'm
a lot
actually
of
not done,
argument.
but let's hear
Okay.
your argument.
So
Let's hear your argument.
yes, did it free up a lot more funds? Oh yes, and the honest truth is, except you lived under a rock. We've also seen, I think the debt management office had already they also released, I think a week or two ago, the amount of debt that state governments have also been able to
close to
pay
2 trillion.
So it has really dropped in debt profile of Nigeria, meaning that the states are not borrowing money. If borrowing,
they're even paying money.
Borrowing looks like it's only coming from the federal, not from the states anymore. Yeah, which makes sense. However, a regular person on the street is saying that fuel subsidy removal made fuel expensive, made food expensive, made everything else expensive. What isn't that at the detriment of we, the regular human beings?
Well, my stand on that has been espoused on this at this bar on more than one occasion. You know, when you hear about the macroeconomic benefits, when you hear about some of the shifts that seem to be positive news for Nigeria's economy, in quotes, I've always bothered about the ripple effect or the trickle-down effect. But that's not what I'm talking about. You know, the funny thing is we tend to quickly, mix things up. I'm just saying that, is it coincidental that now that governors are getting more money, there are more projects being commissioned? There are more capital projects being commissioned. There are more debts being paid. Salaries are being paid on time. We don't have strikes in Nigeria like we used to do. Nigerian Labour Congress has not had much to say or do in the last 1 year. So, could it be as a result, or is it just coincidental? Or is it that these guys are just better managers than the former governors? Or what exactly could it be? And the only thing that I see as a constant is the increase in revenue from the center.
I honestly don't think that they're better managers. I still think that a lot of Nigerian governors can do a lot more than they're doing now. However, I think that them having a lot more money, some people are getting almost times 3 what they used to get before, is that much. I think that because there's a lot more money now, there's a lot more awareness. So there's sort of like a flashlight on them that you can't just be there and you won't do anything else again. I think that it's very, very difficult, even though I still think that it can do a lot more. It's very difficult to just be a docile governor now.
So that's exactly my point. That's why I raised it. And the reason it was triggered by this story of, an airport in Jalingo being refurbished or reconstructed or upgraded, however it is. There's a story that Dolupo will come to later, which lays credence to exactly what I am talking about. And everything is pointing along that line. I was looking about how people were talking about Abia State, for instance, what Abia State was 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. And the new governor, who's been there for about 18, 19 or 20, about 23 months now, Governor Alex Oti, is actually doing some work. Is doing some good work. And I saw tweets where people were cursing the former governors. And I'm like, could it be that the former governors were totally inept? Or
they didn't have as much
was it this funding issue? Because look at it now. Look at Kwara. Kwara is thriving. Look at Niger State. They are thriving. Kaduna is doing very, very well. Nobody is talking about states that are insolvent anymore. Everybody used to talk about how some states had to borrow to pay and they're owing 6 months salaries. Some states were paying half salaries. And nobody is talking about it. And I am because I can criticize, but I can also praise and I can also profess solutions.
I think that...
so what I see as a common indices as a regular denominator in this whole mix is that the increase in revenue, and it is basically because of the removal of subsidy.
Yeah, I like I said, I honestly think that it will be a tad bit unfair to say that former governors are inept. The truth, are they inept? I think most of them are. The sadder truth is that I still think a lot of these current governors are still inept. But because, like, take for example, because of the amount of money you get, you cannot say that you cannot come to the federal government and say you're owing salaries anymore. It doesn't make any sense anymore. Do you understand? At that time, there was maybe an excuse that you could give. Right now, everybody knows, everybody can see the amount of money that is being shared, trillions of naira every single month. So you can't have that excuse of you're not paying salaries, but are they still opening their minds to do a lot more things? No, I honestly think that a lot of governors still have a lot more work to do. Governance is just not about paying salaries. That's what I think. But if we're looking at it with the indices of what the former governors got and what these current governors are getting, I think it's a tad bit unfair to use just that to compare what everybody's doing. Because if you put this current governor now with what the finances or the resources that other governor will do, then you can now make a comparison. Take, for example, you're going to have, we'll say that, would I say the former governor, take for example, former governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Raji Fashola, of course, he was governor when they were not getting this kind of windfall, yeah? If you're going to compare him to a governor of his own set as well, then we can say, okay, you people were getting around the same kind of thing. What did one person do? But you can't use the same indices right now because these ones are getting a lot of windfall. So another person can even come and say that, you know what, this windfall is even making them sleep because they don't even have to do so much work to get a lot more money anymore. So, I think that is it will be a little unfair on the old governors on that one. And talking about a lot more things to do, the former governor of Rivers State and FCT 001, the FCT minister, and if you have been following him some Wike, you know that is someone, he does a lot of he does a lot of back-to-back project commissioning and inauguration. This time he started and he said that this one, he is using this set of activities to mark the second anniversary of President Bola Tinubu's administration in the FCT, saying that he has scheduled a 19-day project inauguration exercise to begin June 10th.
I was watching on Wike last week, and there was an interview that he granted. I think it was BBC, the BBC Pidgin service. Mm-hmm. And of course, Pidgin in Nigeria means broken English in this context. It means, our own local variation of English. And, he was talking about how he had made the IGR at about 7 billion monthly. Mm-hmm. And he more or less tripled it or almost quadrupled it to almost 30-something or 30 billion monthly. And again, remember that there were some concessions that were made for them. There were certain funds that were being given to them directly, and some restructuring was done, within the confines of the law. And you're now seeing results. And this thing starts to make you to ask, like, okay, the last 8 years that there was a minister there, or the last 12 or 14 years that there was a minister, or 16 years, what exactly did they do? Now they're even fixing satellite towns and,
I think
and a whole
that
lot,
this
this is in 2 years.
The immediate former FCT minister is the least. I can't remember the man's name. You can't even remember that there's actually there was a minister there for years. And but Mr. Nyesom Wike is telling you that y'all be ready. He's doing back-to-back 19-day project inauguration.
I saw videos of the International Conference Center, and I'm like, whoa. I know this place, I've been to this place. This is a far departure. It's
Of
like
what it was
a
before.
massive upgrade of that facility, and the other things that they're trying to do. But this is my prayer for my country, that we're able to spread this development. Where like Wike is like a governor of sorts. I see him more as a governor than a minister. Because of the federal capital being like a state. If we had more people with executive powers doing more things, because like this Wike now is a minister, but I see him like that. But imagine the ones with executive powers, the ones that are in charge of the state, the ones that are getting more allocations, if they could actually just do more, Nigeria will change for the better. A few moments ago, Enugu flagged off its farming season, with tractors and all of that in Enugu State. In Enugu State. If Enugu State can do it, if they can actually start mechanized farming in Enugu, what is the excuse of any other state governor? What is the excuse? What exactly are you investing the funds? What are you doing? Because this will mean more food, more work. Food security is as important as any type of security.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we'll see. That is coming from the minister's office. But before we leave Abuja, actually, today a very interesting thing happened where the EFCC officially handed over the 753 unit housing estate to the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning. Apparently, this particular estate was said to have been owned by the former CBN governor, Uncle Mefi,
who is actually still working free.
He's on bail. He's free. He's on bail.
He's free.
And anyway, so right now, at least, I think the courts are there's a final forfeiture on those
an entire units. They're calling it's like a city, a mini city.
It's a city because let's call it spade a spade. How many estates have 753 housing units?
Buildings. To one individual.
753 buildings.
One
How many?
Person. One government employee whose salary will not be able to buy one of those units. It's interesting the kind of things that happen. Almost 800 units of houses in one particular location in the very expensive Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, Abuja.
So what?
And is still walking free.
Anyway,
in a country that has justice, there is a legal system. A man whom now obviously is corrupt. Yeah, because we say allegedly, but if he's forfeiting 750 something houses, almost 800 houses, shows that they were gotten from corrupt practices, not from his legitimate income. In 9 years, he amassed enough wealth to build a mini city. And these are the ones that we know about. A mini city, but he's free.
Okay.
He's free. He's out there. And there are people who were arrested for stealing a bike and they're sentenced to death. People who are arrested for stealing a phone. The bigger the crime, the lesser the punishment. Is that justice? How can one person, one human being, one individual build a mini city and there are no repercussions, no consequences? Yeah, just take the houses off him.
Anyway,
still on the matter of the house.
Oh God, we're still on the matter of the house, but can I?
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion about how the government should handle it.
So anyway, the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning, they're talking about first that there's a lot of integrity testing they're going to do to see how habitable all those houses are. Because another truth is you will not be surprised if a lot of them were not built properly. Especially with that kind of large scale. of building, you wouldn't be surprised somebody else too will have wanted to cut corners somewhere there. Then once that is done, they're saying that some of them might be loaned or sold to MDAs, as ministries that need some level of special needs for baby building, and then some of them would now be sold to individuals that want them.
So there's a lot of clamor. It's gaining ground now that this estate should also be given to the military, that they're suffering a lot of deficit in housing for the military, that maybe just the military should have it. And honestly, I don't have a problem with that. If I left to myself, they should just do a raffle draw and let all of us put our name in the bag.
Who are the all of us?
Me, you, and every Nigerian, because it's our commonwealth. And whoever wins, wins. You know, but government should finish those houses first. The pictures I saw, they're in a state of incompleteness.
Yeah, so I honestly think that
but
I agree.
honestly,
Maybe hand it over the way they are now, hand it over to the military and let them sort themselves out. It probably would even take the stress of having to complete.
And speaking about stress, it is important to carry out that integrity test.
Those tests on those buildings, yeah. Interesting.
Shout out to the man that built them, though. You're competing with our forefathers, our forebears, and our biggest Christmas and New Year and Ilesa daddy, Alaji, Sonny.
Anyway, so let's move on from that. Let's go to the ICPC. Interesting news coming from the ICPC, where the ICPC is saying that they made a fresh discovery, and this was really through Money Trail, how some people are paying money into a particular account to get a 6-week bachelor's degree.
6 weeks.
Abroad.
6 weeks.
Yeah, so you pay into someone's account and it seems to be giving you fake.
Some certificates.
6 weeks.
Courses are even longer than 6 weeks. Do you understand?
Most. Most.
I'm not even talking about degree courses.
No,
but some certificate courses, like all those online courses and everything, they're longer than 6 weeks.
Wait, the one that I went to do the exam, that I sat here, it was at least about 3-4 months.
But now
I've done a few of those exams.
But now we thought it had ended with the Benin and Togo fake schools, you know, but here we are now, 6 weeks.
Here we are, and you now come to
and that 6 weeks they won't even do anything. Though.
No,
it's not like they're learning anything. They're just biding their time.
Your what's it called? You now come back and now go and write it.
That's why suddenly some people have become doctors and.
You not write it here. You carry a Harvard graduate. Okay.
Just suddenly you just come and say you have MSc in MSc. Congratulations on your MSc.
Let's even see
if one of the biggest things about life is that if you can fool everybody, what about yourself?
See,
like you're also fooling yourself.
I know that people fool themselves, and like this is one thing I used to tell people. As much as a lot of people say, I don't like people lying to me. I don't have a problem with you lying to me. I honestly don't. Just don't let me know that you lied to me. That's it. So, I tell people, if you are going to lie, cook up the lie so nicely that they don't quickly realize. 6 weeks for a 4-year course. What do you want to... Let's even say in those 6 weeks you learn some stuff. What do you want to learn in 6 weeks that you will compare it to a 4-year course? 6 weeks. Let's call it spade a spade. Like, if they say, okay, in 4 years, a 4-year course, come and do it in 2 years. Do you understand? There's still some semblance. They'll say, okay, that they're merging a lot of things together, and maybe you don't have holidays.
There are crash courses.
You know, those crash courses, I can't even... 6 weeks. The funny thing is that the person that is giving you such certificate is just scamming you.
But you think they don't know?
I don't think some people know.
That you can get a degree in 6 weeks. They know. They are not studying anything.
They know that it's
the
6
people
weeks.
who are getting it are getting it for the paper. Are you playing? You think it's people that want to go to school for 4 years that are getting it in 6 weeks? It's the people who know that they're going to use it to show up their CV, maybe for politics, maybe to get a better job or whatever. Abba, you think they're being scammed? They're not being scammed. That's what they're paid for. Scam bao. Anyway, you can actually join us via WhatsApp. You can call us on +234 916 163 7661 +234 916 163 7661.
What are you doing?
On WhatsApp. Dolupo has a better way of calling those numbers.
Yes, please, I do. It's +234 9161 63 7661.
Exactly.
Why must you confuse us?
What she said.
Thank you very much.
You know, for some of us who were around when GSM started, you take those numbers in multiples of 3s and 4s. But
I was around when GSM started.
I know you were not.
Yes, I was.
No, you were not.
Yes, I was.
No, you were not.
Yes, I was.
No, you were not.
Yes, I was in secondary school when
you
GSM
were not
started.
around. You were not around. The year was 2000. You were not around. You could have been around in the world, but you were not buying GSM or using GSM.
I had a phone in secondary school.
Nah.
Yes, I did. I had a phone as early as GSS3.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Oh, yeah.
Nah.
What do you mean by nah?
Not true.
Is that I did buy you, you bought it?
Yeah, you're that young. You're that young. You know?
Oh, yes, I did have a phone in secondary school.
At the age of 8?
Anyway, I was around and well and alive and kicking when GSM started.
So, please reach out to us. We'd like to hear from you guys. And it's actually feedback. Someone was going on about how they don't see the number where we put it and all of that. So
okay, so moving on from that, the Nigerian Correctional Service has launched a manhunt. Apparently, 7 people escaped from the correctional center in Ilesa, Osun State.
I'm going to digress, but when she's done.
Oh, please go ahead.
No, go finish.
So, basically, what they're saying is, especially people from Osun State, please need to be careful that there's some people out.
It's a serious matter, and take the advice, especially people in Osun. Be careful. Mm-hmm. Prison break. I have a couple of things to say about it. Jailbreak. One, I don't think we have solid prisons or jails in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. Drive past a few of them. The one in
most of them are in the city center.
The one in Ijebu, the one in Ibadan. You look at them and you're like, some of these things were actually built during the time of the colonial masters. Mm-hmm. What's going on? Maximum security prison in the middle of town. But now, they're not reinforced. They don't have multiple perimeter fences. Nothing deterring people. Mm-hmm. Break a fence and you're gone, more or less. So please, government, do your best to build new prisons and upgrade them. However, there was a jailbreak in America last week.
Yeah. And
I think about 10 guys made it out. And about 4 or 5 of them have been arrested now. And I've been following those things. And it's one of them that was arrested 2 days ago was sleeping at a bus stop.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw a video of that.
And I'm like,
what did you now do?
Did you have plans to disappear?
The worst part is that you're not going to increase your jail sentence again. Like,
another
you
one,
had no plans.
Another
Why
one
did
joined.
You leave?
Another one joined the live stream. Live stream. You went to social media. You waited to find. Eh?
I know this is not something that it might not be funny, but
yeah, they left a note when they were leaving, like we're out and blah blah blah. And now
so what's the point of your nonsense notes? Like seriously, what is the point of your note?
So they're mopping them up in America.
It annoys me. Like you're literally just making it easy. How daft can you be? How daft?
You see the funny ways that they're being picked up.
You put yourself online. Are you joking?
The other social media. You will just escape.
What are you doing to yourself? And like you said, did you have a plan? Anyway, before I talk now, they'll say that Dolupo is trying to teach
Criminal
people bad
minded.
things.
Yeah, we know.
But let me just move on.
It's for educational purposes.
I will just move on. Anyway, like I said, there's a lot of gist coming from a lot of states in Nigeria. But before we move on to that, Dangote refinery has also now dropped, I think, another 3 naira off their ex-country price. So there might be another, maybe a slight drop, maybe not, in the price of petrol in some certain places across the country. If you're in Lagos, you see a lot of people. I think the highest you see these days is 890, but there's at times there are places that are low as 870. So which is good. You see a lot of people queuing places, and 2 things. And I think another thing that is also helped that a lot of people are also looking at now is not just buying cheaper fuel, is that the fuel you are buying is complete. Very important.
And people are also concerned about the quality. The
quality as well. And I like the awareness.
If you speak to a lot of people now, ask them, car owners or car users or car drivers or whatever, when's the last time they actually had an issue with the quality of the fuel that they're buying?
Yeah, your fuel pump and all those things is really not that much of an issue anymore. So that just really wanted to put that out there. Also, Nigeria's external reserves record $260 million net gain in 1 week.
Let's keep going, man.
So looks like it's getting better now.
So, like we always say, let it trickle down eventually. Let us, the people, be able to say, yeah,
this thing made sense, yeah. Now, moving on from that quickly, and we're going all the way to a few states. Like I said, there's a bit of gist from a few states. First things first, Oyo State. So for the past few days, if you're on social media, looks like there is some issues that is brewing in the would I say traditional stools in Oyo State. And now, so what the main issue is, apparently there is a law that the chairman of the council of Obas in Oyo State, the chairman rotates. So there is a law that they want it to be amended that it is permanently going to be the Alaafin of Oyo, which historically he's the most senior. If not even historically, even according to the constitution, and when you look at, he's basically probably the only first class king in Oyo State.
Yeah, I think so.
I think him, then maybe the
I'm not sure though, but
the Iwo. There are some that are literally, they are basically like ancestral stools. So they're really like, but I know that the Alaafin of Oyo is the most senior Oba in Oyo State. So, and there's been back and forth a lot about why they need to keep it there. What the law is saying that is supposed to be moved between the Alaafin of Oyo, the Olubadan of Ibadan, and the Seun of Ogbomoso. And there's been a lot of conversation about it, but today in the assembly, they have stepped down that bill, and looks like they are going to keep the rotation.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Actually, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it, because what's the essence of changing something that has been working, other than the fact that it could cause more problems and more rancor? Already there are conflicts here and there, even amongst the traditional rulers, especially in the southwestern part of Nigeria.
Yeah, there's I know there's a conversation between, I know there's an issue of land issues between Ibadan and Iwo. There's back and forth, and another so
the talks of superiority. Is Oni better than this, or is he Alaafin? There's a whole lot. So bringing another law that would just
scatter the. And I think that some of these things, people is just, would I say, is people being enlightened and just want to scatter things.
Yeah.
The truth is,
a lot of people are driven by sentiment.
Historically, some things are just what it is. It has always been like that. Can we just leave those things as that, and let's not scatter some things? Anyway, so Oyo Assembly is saying that, you know what? we're going to leave it the way it is. Now we're going all the way to Osun State. And in Osun State, it is about politics. Yesterday, interesting news from the 3 senators from Osun State who are in the PDP have now officially endorsed the President Tinubu for 2027 re-election.
That's when Tinubu was flying over France.
Keep in mind, they're still in the PDP. Keep in mind, we're still in 2025.
Keep in mind that in Delta State, one senator left. Then 2 senators followed weeks after. Then the entire structure of the state, the governor.
This one said they are not leaving. They are not.
Please now.
Okay.
Please now. Is it you're leaving?
Sorry.
Then the entire structure of Delta moved. I'm just saying, in line with what she said, keep in mind. So keep in mind too. Autant.
Anyway.
The other thing you should keep in mind is that the president flew over France. I don't know what happened.
How do you know he flew over France? Anyway.
Or he stopped in France for a few hours.
Did he tell you that?
You know now, we're guys.
I don't know. You are guys.
Actually, every president.
Please, I'm going to still stick to Osun State. Osun State, I know.
There's
what
more?
He's saying, I don't know.
There's more.
Anyway, the secretary of the APC National Committee, the former senator, he has now.
That's Bashir.
Yes, he has now come out to tell these senators that it's not just about their endorsements, that they should move. Once and for all.
Yeah, so the thing about that is that it's a dicey thing for them in Osun State, in the sense that in Osun they have an off-cycle election.
Yeah.
And their election is coming before 2027.
But for the senators, they don't.
Wait now. The election is coming in 2027. Now, the structure of the APC is that the governor is in charge of the party's structure.
Okay.
If these senators move, it is a pointer
that the governor is moving.
Yeah, that's what it means. It's just there. It's politics now. It's Nigerian politics. And if that happens, it will have an overbearing,
on the existing APC structure.
In the place.
It's Osun has always been it's been a serious battlefield.
Yeah, so what that means also is that the aspirants, the APC, and there are quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Their names have been everywhere. There are about 5 or 6
names.
Have
a lot of chance.
You get.
Oh, so I get your point. So it's very
there's
dicey.
a lot of things that's going on behind the scenes there.
So we'll see where all that conversation is going to. But from there, we are going all the way to Katsina State. Very interesting news.
It's a very short flight.
Quite. The Emir of Daura has now dethroned the village head and the village head of Mantau over allegations in his involvement in kidnapping and rape of a woman.
Sad. That's really sad.
I like that though.
There's something that stands out for me before we talk about the crime that he allegedly committed. They called him a village head. All the Yoruba village heads have disappeared.
That's the ballers, yeah.
They have disappeared.
They have now become small.
Have you heard of a baller in the last 10 years?
I think it's maybe in Ibadan that there's still baller.
Ibadan is different. Ibadan is
I'm
deliberately saying that, and they actually deserve it because they have these massive kingdoms within Ibadan.
They do.
But let's leave that. What I'm trying to say in essence is that everybody's an Oba in Yoruba land now. But if you go by Yoruba culture and tradition and history, there
are a lot of ballers.
The Obas know plenty. That time, we had ballers and all that. So that one, I'm happy that up north, at least they are clearly not calling everybody an emir, because that's what we're doing in the southwest now. Now back to the matter. It's always been important to state that traditional rulers are on a salary. The local government is meant to pay them. So that means they're more or less government workers too.
Yeah.
And people always say that they're supposed to be like in charge of security in their domain.
Yeah.
So when things are happening, you should be the one on top of it.
Yeah, you should step
But
up.
sadly, you've heard from different parts. There's a story about one in Edo State the other day. There's some that we heard about in the southwest at some point where they allege that the rulers in these places are actually the ones allowing these crimes to be perpetrated. Then again, he's now been linked to rape and kidnapping.
Which is good. So it's good that he's actually being stopped in his tracks.
So
right
it shouldn't be only that. The police should move in by now.
And pick those kind of people up. We'll see if there's an update.
Conclude their investigations and treat
on
appropriately.
That. Now, moving from Katsina, we're going to Zamfara State. Remember, I said that there are quite a number of state gist that we're going to be talking about. Apparently, so there's for a few days now, there's a story that's been going around that a particular lady is facing death penalty in Zamfara State for converting from Islam to Christianity. And there's been a lot of hue and cry about it. Now, the Zamfara government have said that they have done a lot of research, and they're saying that it is not true that this person is set to stand trial in the Sharia court, that there is nothing like that there's nothing against the law of the land to switch religions.
Right, so the way you can defect from APC to PDP and vice versa, you can defect from Isheshe to Christianity, or Christianity to Isheshe, or Isheshe to Islam. That's what Zamfara
they're
people are saying. So I hope that this is the truth, and I like to go with facts, except you have something contrary to it,
And before we leave the matter of states, we're going all the way from Zamfara, coming back to the south in Anambra State. And this is a very sad one, where a couple have now been arrested after allegedly selling 3 of their 6 children. It was said that one was sold for, I think, 600 or 800,000 naira.
A whole human being.
I think about 2015, 2016. And then another one, most recently, I think about last year, was sold about 1.4 million or thereabout. The wife had said that there were 3 children that were sold. The husband said that there were only 2. According to the latest statement from the woman, she said that the first money they got so the man had said the wife's family had threatened that if he does not come and do the bridal rites, her family was going to come and pick her up with the children, so he needed money. So they sold their first son at that point, and then he used the money for her rights and stuff in the house. And then the latest one that they did, the woman said that she only got 100,000 from the huge money he got, and that if he had shared the money properly, nobody would have found out. Apparently, maybe she found out she was talking to somebody that she wasn't supposed to talk to, because I think according to the police, there was a whistleblower in their area that maybe noticing that some children just suddenly get missing from them, and they've now been arrested. And in fact, sadly, they said that they've tried tracing the children. There's only one doctor that they go through to sell those children. So now they're in search. Police are in search of the particular doctor. It's such a very, very sad incident.
The prayer for me is that they didn't sell them to ritualists or organ harvesters.
I hope not.
I really pray that that's not what happened.
That's what happened to those.
But you see,
children.
these animals in human skin, it is important that they actually bring down the entire weight of the law on them. This is not the kind of case that you treat with kid gloves. If they can sell their own children, what do you think they'll do to other people's children?
Yeah.
Look at the level of stupidity. You want to officially marry your wife that has been giving birth to kids for you. Then you sell your child, your first son, to actualize marriage, to confirm that you are married. The culture that makes people do this, please, can we look into it? It's not everybody that can afford these things. Are you saying that they shouldn't get married because they cannot come and pay family bride price or whatever? Let's look into these cultures. Again, let's look into these animals that we are allowing to breed.
Yeah. It's such a very sad one. Anyway, there are quite a number of gists that we're going to be talking about. But before we get there, let's do a bit of sports.
Before you do sports, there's this very sad story that happened in Ibadan yesterday that I was hoping that we would talk about when you were talking about the Oyo State thing. And when this story broke on social media yesterday, the gist was that the police was chasing some Yahoo boys. And in the process of chasing Yahoo boys, they shot at the car, and a young boy that was going to school to ride his bike got shot. However, that's not true. And that story was everywhere until someone released the video. And in this video, you see a man driving against traffic. And the last mile version of Oyo in Oyo State stopped him, hit their car, and just basically tried to escape. And they gave chase. Now, this is where the stupid thing happened. A policeman, you're trying to stop him, fires. You say you want to shoot his tire. And we know I've been saying it. Do you go to practice range to shoot well? And sadly, the man's son, who was in the back of the car, got hit by the bullet. I saw the video where...
Oh, so it was the man...
It was the man's son.
The man
that was trying to
driving
escape. It was his son. So I saw him trying to attack the police physically. He was fighting them. People were trying to... Saw the boy's blood. Then they took him to UCH. Of course, he was declared dead on arrival when he got there. They were there still fighting and arguing why that boy was bleeding. You know? So there are two criminals in this story. The father and the policeman. Because honestly, you know, in a crowded place, you don't shoot live ammunition. You guys should know this now. I mean, you should know. Again, you could have tracked this car because he has a plate number and everything. Yeah. You could have radioed people ahead that, look, there's a car, this color, this plate number, but you shot. You shot and killed an innocent boy. Then the madman that claims to be the father of that boy. What could it be that made you drive against traffic at such top speed? Then you get accosted. You could have just chilled and, you know, basically begged or bribed or paid a fine.
For someone, like I always say, for you to drive against traffic, you are not in your right senses.
No, the guy is mad.
You're not in your right
They blocked his car. He still hit them with the car and tried to escape with it.
You are not in your right senses. So for you to be able to do that, the only sad thing for me is that an innocent boy is dead. However, as much as the police is arrested for the murder of that boy, that father also needs to be arrested for the murder of his son.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think that any right-thinking human being, in all this conversation, only if you are driven on the right part of the road.
Simple.
Only if. But you do not have sense. You don't. Not that you don't have sense. You're not mentally balanced.
And that part of Alakia and all of that, where that thing happened, when you see a lot of people drive against traffic in that place.
You're not mentally balanced.
And the funny thing is, again, if you had been enforcing these things and arresting them, it would have deterred a lot of people. So why do we have laws that we not enforce?
We don't enforce. That's such a very sad one. Anyway, moving on from that, quickly, the Gateway Games 2024 medals table seems to be rising, and Bielsa seems to be leading that medal table at the moment.
Yeah, according to the chairman of the MOC, that media people should stop talking about medals table except the official one, and of course that's the one you are referencing. Bielsa is topping. I know that Oyo is second, and Lagos is third, based on the last time I checked. And that's interesting, you know, the bulk of the medals have come from weightlifting. And
those are the games that have started right now. So it might actually switch. It might see a lot of
today switch. They flagged off some. Then they started the basketball yesterday, male and female. Football is in full swing. Football takes the entire duration of the competition. Yeah. Anyway, you know, some interesting
matchups have been
here and there
going on. Also, Super Falcons head coach has also now released a 23-man list. They're having friendlies with Cameroon ahead of WAFCON, which is good. Also, Kwadri Aruna has now gotten into the last 16 in the World Championships. He's now, I think, he's the last African standing. That is such. I hope that he goes all the way. Our thoughts and prayers are with him.
Fingers crossed.
And another conversation, which is today, that we're going to be talking about, is the Europa League. And the Europa League final is between Tottenham and Manchester United. And why this is very interesting this season, because everybody talks is Europa League, yeah, everybody looks forward to it. However, why this particular matchup is very interesting is because if you juxtapose them with what is happening in the Premier League right now, they are the 4th and the 5th worst team in the Premier League, and this is not shady. It is what it is.
It's just facts.
It is what it is, yeah. And then you now wonder how this happened. First, my question: are we going to say that every other team were not really that good, or what exactly is happening in the Premier League that is not happening in the Europa League? Because really and truly, at times, even when you watch the football in the Premier League, you're like, what are you people doing? Do you understand? Another conversation that has gone on is that, is it actually fair for these people to now, one of them, whichever one, because at this point, I don't think there's any difference in both of them, one of them to win this Europa League and now get to play Champions League football next season, when a lot more teams have done a lot better than them?
I think anybody that's saying that is stupid. If you think that someone that played on the continent and made it to the finals does not deserve to play in Champions League, whoever says that is probably too biased to look at things from the point of fact. Man United, for instance, did not lose a single game onto this final, and they might not even lose, meaning that they can finish the entire European season without losing. What's wrong with that? They played top teams. They all went. Same with Tottenham, winning games on the road and all of that. People always look at things only from a very tiny angle. The thing is, these two teams were completely hopeless in the league, but they started investing more in their European, experts, because they knew that was the only way they could get something out of it. To be very honest with you, they don't even care about the Champions League. They need the trophy. I think the best player in Tottenham has been there for 10 years. Son Heung-min, he hasn't won a single trophy ever. He hasn't won anything. And he's like, I would like to really win one trophy. Do you understand? That's what made Harry Kane leave. And he went to Bayern. He had other offers, but he knew that Bayern, worst case scenario, they will get the Bundesliga. Because everybody wants to win trophies. And that's what it is. Looking at how they played this season. In the league, Tottenham, in fact, Tottenham has beaten United 3 times this season already. Showing you that they have the upper hand when it comes to, their head-to-head in recent history. But on the flip side, United have gone unbeaten in Europe, which no team, Barcelona, Arsenal, anybody has done. This is on the flip side. So you look at it and you say, okay, this is going to be a tough game. Leave all the story of maybe the desire. If the law says that or the rule says that you win European play, then you do. I feel that it's a chance for either team to actually kickstart their season next season, because this season is gone. There's nothing anybody can do to rescue their seasons. It's already gone, and they have actually played well on the continent. I've actually watched both teams play in Europe, and I'm like, wow, the stark contrast in how their season panned out in the league and how it happened on the continent. And Ruben Amorim is saying all the right things. Ange Postecoglou is saying all the right things too. He's really gingered. People were asking if he's going to leave, and he was like, no, he still has work to do in this club. But of course, he needs to win this trophy. Everybody knows that's when you make it to a final. Tottenham made it to a final the other day. Mourinho took them that far, and they stupidly sacked him just before, and they lost. You get. So again, they're stuck with Postecoglou this time. Hopefully, he will be able to deliver for Tottenham. And Amorim on the other part is like, I need to get this. And if you look at both teams, they've already started, in the transfer market, trying to show up.
Oh, they need it.
For next season.
I don't think that next season should be this bad anymore. Nah. I honestly think that they're two teams that have too much pedigree to be where they are on the league. I don't think that it makes any sense, or I never thought it would be a day that I would see that United and Tottenham would be 16th and 17th of the league table.
Yeah, well, the truth is they deserve it because they really didn't cover themselves in glory throughout, and at some point it just looked like they were just marking time and putting more effort in their European exploits and all of that. You know, it's funny how they could just capitulate. Look at how when they say the big six, these two are part of the big six. They're still hard. When people are listing the big six, it's not Nottingham or any of these people. You know, it's actually Tottenham with United, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, and who else again?
I think that conversation of big six, not this season, maybe not, definitely not this
You
season.
think one bad season knocks someone off the perch? Someone that has won the league 20 times is no longer a big six team?
I don't know.
Because
happened.
Because one team that has made it there that would not make it there next season is a big six.
No,
You know?
I'm like I said, I'm not sure there's a conversation of a big six this season.
I'm saying that they are part of the traditional big six. That's what I said.
Okay, now before we go, finally, we're kind of like almost out of time. But in the U.S., interesting news coming as the U.S. president has now launched a $175 billion missile defense design called the Golden Dome. I'm guessing they're trying to replicate what Israel has as the Iron Dome.
All right.
Also, I think earlier in the week, he has now signed an executive order basically banning revenge porn. So basically, you literally would go to jail.
Okay.
Okay, what? There's nothing.
We don't have time.
Oh, I was just wanted to. Anyway, also, sadly, in Pakistan, a suicide car bomber killed
Very
about 6
sad.
people, including 3 children in that vehicle. On that note, that is all we have to take today on The Bar. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. West African time to give you another wonderful edition of The Boom Bar. Do have a beautiful, beautiful day.
Peace.